Hello, and welcome back to MT. There is one simple rule to building wealth that you must understand. Assets are things that put money into your pocket, while liabilities are things that take money out of your pocket. The entire game of getting rich is just about collecting as many assets as you possibly can. This video is your complete and total guide to the assets that are building real wealth for people right now. We will go through every single one, explaining it in simple terms so you can start your own journey. Let's begin with the very foundation of your financial house, the assets you need before you do anything else. These are the non-negotiables, the absolute starting point for everyone. The first foundational asset is cash. Yes, just plain and simple money sitting in a bank account. Many people think cash is a bad asset because it loses value over time, and they are partially right. But they are missing the two incredible superpowers that cash gives you. The first superpower is defense. Cash is your financial shield, your emergency fund that protects you from life's unexpected problems. If your car breaks down or you lose your job, having a pile of cash means a bad situation does not turn into a total disaster. You can handle the problem without having to sell your other, more important assets at a bad time. This safety net gives you peace of mind, which allows you to think clearly and make better long-term decisions. Without it, you are always just one emergency away from financial ruin. The second superpower of cash is offense. Cash is your financial sword, ready to strike when a golden opportunity appears. The best deals in life, whether in business or investing, often show up when you least expect them, and they require you to act fast. If the perfect investment property comes up for sale at a huge discount, or the stock market crashes and everything is on sale, you need cash to take advantage of it. Rich people call this having dry powder, which means having cash reserves ready to deploy at a moment's notice. The person with cash on hand during a downturn is the person who comes out of it far, far richer. So, how do you build this asset? It is as simple as spending less than you earn and putting the difference away. You should aim to have at least 3 to 6 months of your living expenses saved in a high-yield savings account. This is your defense, your emergency fund, and you do not touch it for anything else. After that emergency fund is full, you can start building a separate pile of cash for opportunities. This is the money you will use to buy other assets when the time is right. The biggest mistake people make with cash is holding too much of it for too long. The enemy of cash is a concept called inflation. Inflation just means that over time, your money buys less stuff. $1 today is worth more than $1 will be worth next year because prices for things like food, gas, and housing tend to go up. So while cash is an amazing tool for safety and opportunity, it is not a great long-term investment. Its job is to be a bridge to your real investments, the other assets we are about to discuss. The second foundational asset is your skills and knowledge. This is the single most important asset you will ever own because it lives inside your head. No one can ever take your skills away from you, and a bad economy cannot wipe them out. In fact, the more skilled you are, the more valuable you become, especially when times are tough. Think of your brain as the software that runs your life. The better the software, the better the results you will get. Investing in your skills is like upgrading that software. Every book you read, every course you take, every new thing you learn adds to your value as a person and as an earner. There are two types of skills you can develop. The first are high-income skills, which are abilities that the market pays a lot of money for. These include things like coding, digital marketing, sales, copywriting, or video editing. If you can learn a skill that helps a business make more money, that business will be happy to pay you a lot of money. The beauty of a high-income skill is that it directly increases your ability to generate cash, which is our first asset. The more cash you can generate, the faster you can buy other assets that work for you. The second type of skill is what you might call a meta skill. These are broad skills that make every other part of your life better. This includes things like communication, negotiation, self-discipline, and financial literacy. Learning how to communicate clearly or negotiate effectively will help you in every job, every business, and every relationship you ever have. Developing your skills is a lifelong process. It starts with identifying what you want to learn and then dedicating time to it every single day. You can read books, watch educational videos, or enroll in online courses from websites like Coursera or Udemy. The amount of information available for free or for a low cost today is simply staggering. The biggest mistake people make is thinking that their education ends when they finish school. In reality, that is when the real education, the self-education, should begin. The world is changing faster than ever before. The skills that were valuable 10 years ago might be obsolete today, so you must always be learning and adapting to stay ahead. The third and final foundational asset is your health and energy. This is the most overlooked asset of all, but without it, nothing else matters. You can have all the money and skills in the world, but if you do not have the health and energy to use them, they are completely worthless. Your physical well-being is the engine that powers your ambition. Think about it in simple terms. When you feel sick or tired, you are less productive, you make worse decisions, and you cannot enjoy your life. Poor health is also a massive financial liability. Medical bills can be incredibly expensive and can wipe out your savings in an instant. On the other hand, when you are healthy and full of energy, you are a force of nature. You can work harder, think more clearly, and you have the stamina to pursue your goals relentlessly. Protecting and investing in your health is not a chore. It is a strategic decision to protect your most valuable asset. The good news is that it does not have to be complicated. It comes down to 3 simple pillars. The first is sleep. Getting 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep every night is not a luxury. It is a biological necessity. Sleep is when your body and brain repair themselves, and a lack of it has been linked to almost every major health problem. The second pillar is nutrition. You do not need a fancy diet, you just need to focus on eating real, whole foods most of the time. This means eating things like fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and healthy fats. And it means limiting processed junk food, sugary drinks, and excessive alcohol. The third pillar is movement. Your body was designed to move, not to sit in a chair all day. You do not need to become a professional athlete. Just 30 minutes of moderate activity each day, like a brisk walk, a bike ride, or a home workout, can have a massive positive impact on your physical and mental health. The mistake people make is viewing health as something to deal with only when it becomes a problem. They wait until they get sick to start taking care of themselves. This is like waiting for your house to catch fire before you decide to buy a fire extinguisher. You must be proactive and make small, consistent investments in your health every single day. Now that we have covered the 3 foundational assets, cash, skills, and health, we can move on to the more traditional investment assets. These are the classic wealth builders that have been making people rich for generations. The 4th asset on our list is stocks. A stock is simply a tiny piece of ownership in a business. Imagine your favorite local pizza place is so successful that the owner wants to expand. To get the money to build new locations, the owner decides to sell small slices of the company to the public. When you buy a stock, you are buying one of those tiny slices. If you buy a share of a company like Apple or Amazon, you are now a part owner of that massive global business. There are 2 main ways you make money from owning stocks. The first way is through appreciation. Appreciation is just a fancy word for the value of your slice going up over time. If the company does well, makes more money, and becomes more popular, your small piece of it becomes more valuable. You could then sell that piece to someone else for more than you paid for it. This is how many people build tremendous wealth over the long term. The second way you make money is through dividends. A dividend is when the company takes some of its profits and gives it directly to its owners, the shareholders. It is like the pizza place having a great month and the owner giving you a little bit of the cash profit because you are a part owner. Not all companies pay dividends, but the ones that do provide a steady stream of income to their investors. To start buying stocks, you need to open something called a brokerage account. A brokerage account is simply the place where you go to buy and sell stocks, kind of like a supermarket for investments. There are many great companies that offer these accounts, like Fidelity, Vanguard, or Charles Schwab. You can open one online in just a few minutes. The biggest mistake that new investors make with stocks is trying to be a hero. They try to pick the one magic stock that will go up 1,000% overnight. This is called stock picking, and it is extremely difficult to do successfully over the long run. You are competing against millions of other people, including professional investors who have more information and resources than you do. Another huge mistake is trying to time the market. This is when people try to sell their stocks right before the market goes down and buy them back right before it goes up. Nobody can predict the future, and trying to time the market is a fool's game. More often than not, people who try this end up missing the best days in the market and hurting their returns. The fifth asset is bonds. If stocks are about owning a piece of a company, bonds are about lending money to a company or a government. When a large organization needs to raise money for a big project, like a city building a new bridge or a company building a new factory, they can issue bonds. A bond is basically just an IOU. You give the organization your money, and they promise to pay you back in full on a specific date in the future, which is called the maturity date. In the meantime, they also promise to pay you regular interest payments, kind of like a fee for borrowing your money. Bonds are generally considered much safer than stocks. This is because you are a lender, not an owner. If the company goes bankrupt, they have to pay back their lenders before their owners get anything. And if you are lending money to a stable government, like the United States government, the risk of not getting paid back is almost zero. Because bonds are so safe, they also offer lower returns than stocks. It is a fundamental rule of investing that risk and reward are connected. Low risk usually means low potential reward, while high risk means high potential reward. Bonds are the slow and steady turtle in the investment race, while stocks are the fast but sometimes erratic rabbit. People use bonds to add stability and income to their investment portfolio. They provide a predictable stream of cash and can help cushion the blow when the stock market is volatile. You can buy bonds directly from the government through websites like Treasury Direct. You can also buy them through the same brokerage account you use to buy stocks. The mistake people make with bonds is expecting them to make them rich quickly. That is not their job. The job of a bond is to preserve your capital and provide a small, steady return. They are a tool for wealth preservation, not for rapid wealth creation. The sixth asset is one of the most powerful and beginner-friendly of all, and it is called an index fund or a mutual fund. These funds solve the biggest problem that new investors face with stocks. The problem is that picking individual stocks is hard and risky. If you put all your money into one or two companies and those companies do poorly, you could lose a lot of money. The solution is something called diversification. Diversification is just a simple idea. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. An index fund is a special type of investment that lets you buy a tiny piece of hundreds or even thousands of companies all at once, in a single transaction. It is like buying a pre-made basket of all the best fruits at the supermarket, instead of trying to pick the single best apple. The most famous index fund is the S&P 500 Index Fund. This fund holds stocks in the 500 largest and most profitable companies in the United States. When you buy a share of an S&P 500 Index Fund, you instantly become a part owner in Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and 496 other incredible businesses. Your investment is automatically diversified across the entire market. The performance of the S&P 500 has been remarkably consistent over the long run. Historically, it has returned an average of about 10% per year. This means that on average, money invested in the S&P 500 has doubled about every 7 years. This is the power of compound growth, where your money starts earning money, and then that money starts earning even more money. Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of all time, has repeatedly said that a low-cost S&P 500 index fund is the best investment most people can make. It is a simple, effective, and proven way to build long-term wealth. You can buy index funds through the same brokerage account you use for stocks and bonds. Companies like Vanguard are famous for their low-cost index funds and are a great place for beginners to start. The biggest mistake people make with index funds is getting impatient. Index fund investing is a long-term strategy. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. There will be years when the market goes down, and you might see the value of your investment temporarily drop. The key is to stay disciplined, keep investing consistently, and trust in the long-term growth of the world's best companies. The seventh asset is a classic that has been creating wealth for centuries, and that is real estate. We are talking about physical property, like land and buildings. Real estate is a powerful asset because, like stocks, it gives you two ways to make money. The first way is through cash flow. Cash flow is the money you have left over from rent after you have paid all the expenses. If you own a house and rent it out to a family, they pay you rent every single month. From that rent money, you have to pay for the mortgage, property taxes, insurance, and any repairs. Whatever is left over is pure profit, cash that goes directly into your pocket. The second way you make money from real estate is through appreciation. Just like with stocks, appreciation means the value of your property goes up over time. As the population grows and more people need a place to live, the demand for housing increases. This generally pushes the price of well-located properties up over the long term. There are a few main types of real estate you can invest in. The most common is residential real estate, which is just a fancy term for places where people live, like single-family homes or apartment buildings. Then there is commercial real estate, which are places where businesses operate, like storefronts, restaurants, or shopping centers. There is also office real estate, where companies rent space for their employees to work. Finally, there is raw land. This is just empty property that you can either hold and wait for it to appreciate, or you can develop it by building something on it. A very important point to understand is that the house you live in yourself is generally not an asset. It is a liability. It is a liability because it takes money out of your pocket every month for the mortgage, taxes, insurance, and upkeep, but it does not put any new money in. An asset is something that pays you, and your personal home does not do that. A rental property, on the other hand, is a true asset. The rent payments from your tenant are what cover all the expenses and hopefully leave you with a profit. The biggest mistake people make with real estate is underestimating the costs and the work involved. Being a landlord is not always a passive activity. You have to find good tenants, deal with repairs, and manage the property. It can be a lot of work, but the financial rewards can be incredible. Now we move from the traditional assets to the modern digital assets. This is the new frontier of wealth creation, and the opportunities here are massive. The eighth asset is what we can call digital real estate. Just like physical real estate is property in the real world, digital real estate is property on the internet. This includes things like valuable domain names, websites that get a lot of visitors, or popular social media accounts. These are assets because they can generate income and be sold for a profit. Think of a popular blog that gets hundreds of thousands of readers every month. That blog is like a storefront on a very busy street. The owner of that blog can make money by placing ads on the site, by recommending products and earning a commission, or by selling their own digital products. The more visitors the website gets, the more valuable that digital property becomes. Another example is a YouTube channel. A channel with a large and engaged audience is an incredibly valuable asset. The creator can earn money from YouTube's ad program, from brand sponsorships, from selling merchandise, or from promoting their own business. Some YouTube channels are multi-million-dollar businesses. Even a popular social media account, like an Instagram page with a big following in a specific niche like fitness or cooking, is a form of digital real estate. Brands will pay a lot of money to have their products featured on that page. The great thing about digital real estate is that the startup costs can be very low. You can start a blog or a YouTube channel for next to nothing. What it costs is your time and your creativity. You have to consistently create valuable content that people want to consume. The mistake people make is not treating it like a real business. They post inconsistently or create low-quality content and then wonder why they are not getting any traction. Building a piece of digital real estate takes time and dedication. But if you stick with it, you can create a valuable asset that pays you for years to come. The ninth asset is a new and often controversial one, and that is cryptocurrency and digital tokens. This is a very new asset class, and it is important to approach it with caution. Cryptocurrency is a form of digital money that is secured by cryptography, which makes it nearly impossible to counterfeit. The most famous cryptocurrency is Bitcoin. Many people think of Bitcoin as digital gold. Like gold, it is scarce. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin created, and it is not controlled by any single government or bank. People buy and hold Bitcoin as a store of value, a way to protect their wealth from inflation or economic instability. Its price can be very volatile, meaning it goes up and down a lot, so it is a high-risk asset. Beyond Bitcoin, there are thousands of other cryptocurrencies, often called altcoins. Many of these other coins are not just trying to be money, they are part of a larger technology platform. Think of the Ethereum network, for example. It is a platform that allows developers to build decentralized applications, or dApps, and its cryptocurrency, Ether, is used to power those applications. Investing in these other tokens is more like investing in a tech startup. You are betting that the technology and the platform will become widely used and valuable in the future. This is a very complex and fast-moving space. It is absolutely crucial that you do your own research and never invest more money than you are willing to lose. The mistake many people make with crypto is treating it like a casino. They hear stories of people getting rich overnight, and they throw money at random coins hoping to strike it lucky. This is not investing, it is gambling. A smart approach to crypto involves deep research, understanding the technology you are investing in, and starting with a very small portion of your overall investment portfolio. The 10th asset is digital products. This is one of the most beautiful business models in the world because of a concept called infinite scalability. A digital product is any product that exists in a digital format and can be delivered over the internet. This includes things like ebooks, online courses, software, music, or digital art. The magic of a digital product is that you create it once and you can sell it 1,000,000 times. There are no manufacturing costs, no shipping costs, and no inventory to manage. Imagine you are an expert on personal finance. You could write an ebook that contains all of your best advice. You do the hard work of writing and editing the book one time. But once it is finished, you can sell that same digital file over and over again to people all over the world, forever. The same goes for an online course. You can record a series of video lessons teaching a skill you have mastered, like playing the guitar or learning to code. Once the course is created, you can sell access to it to an unlimited number of students. Your income is no longer tied to your time. This is a powerful way to turn your knowledge, which is our second asset, into a new asset that generates passive income. The cost to get started is extremely low. You just need a computer and your expertise. The mistake people make is thinking their product has to be perfect before they can sell it. They spend months or years trying to create the ultimate masterpiece, and they never end up launching anything. It is much better to create a good first version of your product and get it out into the world. You can then get feedback from your first customers and make it better over time. Now, we move into the assets related to business and entrepreneurship. These assets require more active involvement, but they also have the highest potential for creating massive wealth. The 11th asset is your own scalable business. This is arguably the most powerful wealth creation tool on the planet. A scalable business is a system that can grow and make more money without requiring a proportional increase in your time or effort. It is a machine that you build to make money for you. Think about the difference between a freelance writer and a person who owns a content agency. The freelance writer trades their time directly for money. If they do not write, they do not get paid. Their income is capped by the number of hours they can work. The agency owner, on the other hand, has built a system. They hire other writers, find clients, and manage the projects. The business can take on 10 clients or 100 clients, and while the owner's work might increase a little, it does not increase 10 times. They have created leverage by using other people's time. Any business that can sell a product or service to many people without you being personally involved in every single sale is a scalable business. This includes e-commerce stores, software companies, and media companies. Building a business is not easy. It is one of the hardest things you can do. It requires an immense amount of work, dedication, and the ability to handle failure and rejection. But the rewards can be life-changing. The mistake many people make is creating a job for themselves instead of a business. They build something that relies completely on them and cannot function without their constant presence. The true goal of an entrepreneur should be to build a business that can one day run without them. That is when you have created a true asset. The 12th asset is equipment. This is a very practical asset that is often misunderstood. Equipment is an asset only if it helps you or your business make money faster or better. Whether something is an asset or a liability depends entirely on how you use it. For a professional photographer, a new $10,000 camera is an asset. It allows them to take better pictures, which helps them get more clients and charge higher prices. For a hobbyist who just takes pictures of their cat, that same camera is a liability. It is a very expensive toy that takes money out of their pocket. The same logic applies to a car. If you are an Uber driver or a delivery person, your car is a crucial piece of equipment for your business. It is directly responsible for generating your income, so it is an asset. But for most people, a car is a liability that costs money in payments, insurance, gas, and repairs. The key question to ask yourself before any big purchase is, will this thing make me money? If the answer is a clear and direct yes, it might be an asset. If the answer is no, or if you have to stretch your imagination to justify it, it is probably a liability. The mistake people make is trying to justify luxury purchases as business expenses. They buy the most expensive laptop on the market to check their email and watch videos. This is a lack of financial discipline, and it prevents people from building real wealth. The 13th asset is a concept that might sound strange, and it is called good debt. Most of us are taught that all debt is bad, but this is not true. There is a huge difference between bad debt and good debt. Bad debt is when you borrow money to buy things that go down in value or do not produce any income. This includes things like credit card debt for a vacation, a loan for a fancy car, or financing for a new television. This is debt that makes you poorer. Good debt, on the other hand, is when you borrow money to buy an asset that goes up in value or generates income. This is debt that can make you richer. The most common example of good debt is a mortgage to buy a rental property. You borrow money from the bank to buy a house, and then you have a tenant who pays you rent every month. The rent payment covers the mortgage payment and all the other expenses, and hopefully there is some profit left over for you. You are using the bank's money to buy an income-producing asset. Another example is a business loan. If you have a profitable business and you take out a loan to buy a new piece of equipment that will increase your profits, that is good debt. Using debt in this way is called leverage. It allows you to control a large asset with a small amount of your own money, which can amplify your returns. Leverage is a double-edged sword, however. Just as it can amplify your gains, it can also amplify your losses if the investment goes bad. The mistake people make is taking on too much debt or using it to buy speculative assets. Using debt is an advanced strategy that should only be used when you have a clear and predictable way to pay it back with the income from the asset you are buying. The 14th asset is people and teams. You might not think of people as an asset, but they are the most valuable component of any successful business. A company is not just a name on a piece of paper. A company is a collection of people working together towards a common goal. The ideas, the innovation, and the execution all come from the people within the organization. A single great employee can create billions of dollars in value for a company. Think about the lead designers at a company like Apple. Their creativity and vision are responsible for products that are used by billions of people around the world. Hiring the right people is one of the most important jobs of an entrepreneur. You cannot build a big, scalable business all by yourself. You need to surround yourself with talented people who are smarter than you in their specific areas of expertise. There is even a term in the tech world called an acqui-hire. This is when a large company buys a smaller startup, not because they want the startup's product, but because they want to hire its talented team of engineers or designers. That is how valuable the right people can be. If you are an employee, your goal should be to become an indispensable asset to your organization. The harder you are to replace, the more valuable you become. This goes back to our second asset, your skills. By constantly learning and improving, you can position yourself as one of the most valuable people in your company, which gives you job security and a higher income. The mistake that business owners make is trying to do everything themselves to save money. This is a short-sighted strategy that limits their growth. The best entrepreneurs know that their job is to build a great team and then get out of their way. The 15th asset is called the first mover advantage. This is the advantage a business gets by being the first one to enter a new market or create a new product category. When you are the first, you get to define the market. You have no competition, so you can capture a large amount of market share before anyone else even realizes there is an opportunity. Think about Netflix. They were not the first company to rent movies. but they were the first to do it successfully with a subscription streaming service. This gave them a massive head start on everyone else. By the time other big companies like Disney and HBO launched their own streaming services, Netflix was already a global giant with hundreds of millions of subscribers. The same thing happened with Airbnb. They created a new way for people to rent out their spare rooms or homes to travelers. They disrupted the entire hotel industry because they were the first to build a trusted platform for this new type of accommodation. That first mover advantage was an incredibly valuable asset for them. This advantage is usually temporary. Sooner or later, competitors will catch on and enter the market. But being first gives you time to build a strong brand, a loyal customer base, and a superior product. This can create a lasting moat around your business that is difficult for others to cross. The mistake is thinking that just being first is enough. You also have to execute well. There are many examples of companies that were first to a market but failed because their product was bad or their business strategy was flawed. First mover advantage gives you a head start, but you still have to run the race well. The 16th asset is unique rights and licenses. This is an asset that gives you an unfair advantage that is protected by law or by contract. This can be anything from a special permit to operate in a certain area to an exclusive government contract. It is a special privilege that your competitors do not have. For example, in some cities, the number of taxi medallions, which are the permits required to operate a taxi, is strictly limited. Owning one of these medallions is a valuable asset because it grants you the right to operate in a market with limited competition. Another example can be found in certain industries where a company might have an exclusive right to sell a product in a particular country. This prevents other companies from competing with them directly in that region. Even something like a favorable zoning law that allows you to build a commercial property in a residential area can be considered a unique right and a valuable asset. It gives you a competitive advantage that is hard to replicate. These types of assets are often hard to get. They might require deep industry connections, a lot of legal work, or just being in the right place at the right time. The mistake is relying solely on this type of advantage. Markets can change, laws can be rewritten, and unique rights can be taken away. It is a powerful asset to have, but it should be combined with a strong business model and excellent customer service to create a truly durable company. Now we move to a special category of assets called intellectual property. These are assets that come from the creations of your mind, and they can be incredibly valuable. The 17th asset is a patent. A patent is a legal document that gives you, the inventor, the exclusive right to your invention for a set period of time. If you invent a new type of machine, a new chemical compound, or a new software process, you can file a patent to protect it. This means that no one else can make, use, or sell your invention without your permission. If another company wants to use your patented technology, they have to pay you a fee, which is called a licensing fee. This can create a massive stream of passive income. Patents are the backbone of the innovation economy. They encourage inventors and companies to spend time and money on research and development because they know their new creations will be protected. A single patent can be worth billions of dollars. Just look at the pharmaceutical industry, where companies spend a fortune developing new drugs and then rely on patents to protect their investment. Even small inventors can become rich from a patent. Remember those singing fish that were on everyone's wall years ago? The inventor of that novelty product made over $100 million. The process of getting a patent can be long, complicated, and expensive. It requires working with specialized lawyers and demonstrating that your invention is truly new and unique. The mistake people make is thinking that a patent guarantees success. A patent only protects your idea. It does not mean that your idea is a good one that people will want to buy. You can have a patent for the world's most useless invention, and it will be worthless. The value of a patent comes from the commercial potential of the invention it protects. The 18th asset is a trademark. If a patent protects your invention, a trademark protects your brand identity. A trademark is a recognizable sign, design, or expression which identifies products or services of a particular source from those of others. This includes things like brand names, logos, and slogans. Think of the Nike swoosh logo or the McDonald's golden arches. These are incredibly valuable trademarks because they are instantly recognizable all over the world. When you see that swoosh, you immediately think of Nike and everything the brand stands for. That mental association is a powerful asset. Trademarks prevent other companies from using your name or logo to confuse customers. They protect your reputation and goodwill in the marketplace. You can also license your trademark to other companies. The Walt Disney Company is a master of this. They license their characters like Mickey Mouse to be put on t-shirts, lunchboxes, and toys, and they get a royalty payment for every single item sold. That is the power of a strong trademark. An amazing story is that of Michael Buffer, the boxing announcer. He trademarked his famous catchphrase, "Let's get ready to rumble." Now, every time that phrase is used in a commercial, a movie, or a video game, he gets paid. He has made over $400 million from that one trademarked phrase. You can register a trademark with the government to get legal protection. It is a way of officially claiming your brand identity as your own property. The mistake is not taking it seriously enough. Many new businesses do not bother to trademark their name or logo, and they can run into big problems later on if another company starts using a similar brand. The 19th asset is your brand and goodwill. This is a bit different from a trademark, as it is more of an intangible feeling. Your brand is the story you tell the world about your business. It is the image and personality you project into the marketplace. Goodwill, on the other hand, is the emotional connection and trust that your customers have with your brand. It is the positive feeling people have when they think about your company. Goodwill is built over time by consistently delivering a great product or service, by treating your customers well, and by having a positive impact on the community. It is earned, not bought. A strong brand can allow you to charge higher prices than your competitors. People will pay more for a product from a brand they know and trust. Goodwill can save a company from disaster. There have been cases where a beloved company was going bankrupt, and its loyal customers rallied together to support it and keep it alive. The Kardashian family is a modern example of building a powerful brand. Their names are so well known that anything they attach their name to can become an instant bestseller. This is because they have built a massive brand and a deep connection with their audience over many years. That brand is a multi-billion-dollar asset. The mistake is thinking that branding is just about having a cool logo or a catchy slogan. True branding is about what you do, not just what you say. It is about your actions, your values, and the experience you provide to your customers. A great brand is built from the inside out. The 20th asset is royalties and licensing deals. We have touched on this a bit, but it is such a powerful concept that it deserves its own spot on the list. A royalty is a payment made to the owner of an asset for the right to use that asset. It is a way to get paid over and over again for work you did once. This applies to all forms of intellectual property, like books, music, photos, and movies. If you write a book, you get a royalty payment from the publisher for every copy that is sold. If you are a musician and you write a hit song, you get royalties every time that song is played on the radio, streamed online, or used in a commercial. Mariah Carey famously makes around $500,000 every single year just from the royalties on her one Christmas song. Licensing is when you give someone permission to use your intellectual property in exchange for a fee. The story of George Lucas and Star Wars is a legendary example of this. When he made the first Star Wars movie, the studio was not confident it would be a success. So instead of taking a large director's fee, he asked to keep the licensing and merchandising rights for himself. The movie became a massive hit, and the toys and merchandise have generated billions of dollars in revenue. Those licensing rights, which the studio gave away for almost nothing, made George Lucas a billionaire. The key to creating royalty and licensing income is to create something that other people want to use. This could be a great story, a catchy song, a beautiful photograph, or a beloved character. The mistake is underestimating the value of your own intellectual property. Many creators give away their rights for too little money because they do not realize the long-term potential of what they have made. Now we move to our final category of assets, which are alternative and high-value assets. These are often used by wealthy investors to diversify their portfolios and achieve higher returns. The 21st asset is raw materials and commodities. These are basic goods that are used in commerce. This includes things like precious metals, such as gold and silver, energy products like oil and natural gas, and agricultural products like wheat and corn. These are the physical building blocks of the global economy. People invest in commodities for a few reasons. One reason is to bet on the price fluctuations. If you believe that the demand for oil is going to increase, you can buy oil contracts and then sell them for a profit if the price goes up. This is a very complex and risky form of trading. A more common reason for a regular investor to own commodities is as a hedge against inflation. Precious metals like gold have been used as a store of value for thousands of years. When the value of money goes down due to inflation, the price of gold often goes up. This is why many people keep a small portion of their wealth in physical gold or silver as a form of financial insurance. You can invest in commodities in a few ways. You can buy the physical goods themselves, like gold coins or bars, or you can invest in funds that track the price of these commodities. The mistake is going all in on one commodity. The prices of these goods can be very volatile and are influenced by global events that are impossible to predict. The 22nd asset is collectibles. These are rare and desirable items that appreciate in value over time due to their scarcity and historical significance. This category includes things like fine art, luxury watches, vintage cars, rare sneakers, and sports memorabilia. It is a market that has traditionally been dominated by the very wealthy. Art has been a surprisingly good investment over the last few decades. The works of famous artists like Picasso or Warhol have sold for hundreds of millions of dollars. The wealthy buy art not just because they enjoy it, but because it is a tangible asset that has a long history of holding its value. The same goes for rare vintage cars. A 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO is one of the most expensive cars in the world, with one selling for over $70 million. This is because only a handful of them were ever made, and they are considered masterpieces of automotive engineering. In recent years, this market has become more accessible to regular people. There are now platforms that allow you to buy fractional shares of a valuable painting or a rare car. The mistake with collectibles is investing in things you do not understand or have a passion for. The market for these items is very niche and requires deep expertise to navigate successfully. Never invest in a collectible just because you read a story about it online. You should only invest in categories that you genuinely love and are willing to study for a long time. The 23rd asset is private equity and angel investing. This is the act of investing in private companies before they are available to the public on the stock market. When a new startup is looking for money to grow, they often turn to angel investors or venture capital firms. These investors provide the cash in exchange for a piece of ownership in the young company. This is a very high-risk, high-reward form of investing. Most startups fail, and if the company you invest in goes bankrupt, you will lose your entire investment. But if you happen to invest in the next Google or Facebook when it is just a small, private company, your return could be astronomical. A small investment of a few $1,000s could turn into millions. This type of investing was once only available to very wealthy and connected individuals. However, thanks to new laws and online platforms, it is becoming more accessible to regular accredited investors. This is still a very advanced and risky strategy. It should only be considered by experienced investors who can afford to lose the money they invest. The mistake is thinking you can be a great angel investor without any experience or network. The best deals are often hard to find and require a lot of due diligence to properly evaluate. The 24th and final asset on our list is your network and your relationships. The people you know are one of the most valuable assets you can ever have. Your network can bring you opportunities that you would never find on your own. A friend might tell you about a great job opening. A mentor might introduce you to a potential business partner, or a colleague might give you a valuable piece of advice. A strong network is built on trust and mutual respect. It is not about collecting as many contacts as possible. It is about building genuine relationships with people. You build a strong network by being a good person, by helping others without expecting anything in return, and by being curious and open to meeting new people. Every person you meet knows something you do not. The most successful people in the world are almost always the ones with the strongest networks. They understand that success is a team sport. You can proactively build your network by attending industry events, joining online communities, and reaching out to people you admire in a respectful way. The goal is to give more than you take. The mistake is being a purely transactional networker. These are the people who only contact you when they need something from you. Nobody likes that person. You must invest in your relationships over the long term, just like you would invest in any other asset. So there you have it, 24 assets that can build real wealth. But there is one final master key concept that ties all of this together. It is the most important financial lesson you will ever learn. It is what separates the people who build wealth from those who just work for a living. This concept is called the time-money arbitrage. It sounds complicated, but the idea is very simple. Right now, if you are young, you probably have more time than you have money. Your job is to use your time to generate money. This is step 1. You trade your hours for dollars at a job or by building a skill. You work hard and you save as much of that money as you possibly can. Step 2 is to use that money to buy assets. You take the cash you have earned and you buy stocks, real estate, or any of the other assets we have discussed in this video. This is the crucial turning point. You are no longer just working for money, you are making your money start to work for you. Step 3 is the magic part. Those assets start to generate their own money through appreciation, dividends, or cash flow. This new money that your assets are making for you can then be used to buy even more assets. This creates a snowball effect of wealth. Eventually, if you are consistent and patient, you will reach a point where the money your assets are making is enough to cover all of your living expenses. This is the definition of financial freedom. It is the point where you have successfully used your money to buy back your time. You no longer have to work for money because your assets are doing the work for you. This is the fundamental business lesson behind every single successful company. A business owner hires employees who trade their time for a salary. The company takes that time and uses it to generate more value than it pays the employee in salary. That difference is called profit. The owner is using the time-money arbitrage at scale. Now you understand this concept, and you can apply it to your own life. You do not need to own all 24 of these assets. The goal is to understand what they are and how they work. Pick 1 or 2 that make the most sense for you right now and start there. Maybe you start by building up your cash and then investing in a low-cost index fund. Or maybe you focus on developing a high-income skill that allows you to start a small digital business. The path you take does not matter as much as the act of starting. The entire goal is to slowly shift from being a person who trades all their time for money to a person who has their money working for them. This is the simple yet profound secret to building lasting wealth. If you found this guide helpful and want more simple, powerful lessons on building wealth, make sure to subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so you won't miss what's next.